There's the next project. This sucker caught on fire, burned up just about all the wiring. I've got most of, well, I got the engine harness off, but you can see it melted the brake thing. It's melted air conditioning hoses, just everything. And it's also melted every wire on the transmission. Yay. So anyway, like I said, I've already got the engine harness off. Let me show you that. Well, there's the harness. It's melted wires, insulation. It was stuck together. It took probably 45 minutes to get all the wires separated where they were melted together. I've been dreading this job for a couple of months. I hate and despise wiring. I'd rather have my own mama slap me than wire something. But anyway, I figured I'd let y'all come along on this boring journey. That's what I removed from the engine harness. I think it was 27 wires. Doesn't sound like a lot, but man, that's a lot. Alright, I got the engine harness in. Roughly, it's not pretty right now, but everything's hooked up. I'll wire tie it and put some loom on it eventually. Right now I just want to get everything in place, and I'm fixing to hook this battery up and see if we got any smoke. So Fingers crossed. No sparks. That's good. No smoke. That's even better. Let's turn the key on and see what happens. Alright, turning the key on. Got some lights. No starter, but I don't know the sequence to start this thing. Main thing is there's no fire, and that is wonderful. Alright, here's the fun stuff we get to do on the Trent submission. Got all kind of melted connectors. There's 4 switches there, 3 switches there, 3 solenoids, a big connector that goes down in the transmission. Then it runs away on back in there to the lift. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I had to stop and label all of these connectors because I guarantee you I would never ever remember where they went. And these pressure switches, the connector has melted to the switch and there's just no way to save them, so I'm probably going to have to buy all new of them. There's 4 here, 3 here. There's 3 solenoids here. I might be able to save them. We'll just have to see when I get them off and get into them. This is stupid. There's screws on the bottom of these solenoids too, and you can't see them, and you can't hardly get to them. Well, I don't know. Well, I will be. But it'll get stuck in there. You son of a gun, you! Come out of there! I don't have any of these really long ones in metric. This is standard, and it'll grab, but not real good at slipping. So I guess I'll get to fight it for another 14 hours before I can get them loose. Well, I have never in my life seen anything like this. Will you please go in the hole? Well, I give up. Why will you not come loose? Ooh, man, that hurt. Why does that little screw have to be so tight? 64 hours later, I've got them out. All right, and I've got everything loose, except if you look right here, right there. That's a big bundle of wires that goes back up into the cab. So now I get to tear the cab halfway apart to see where that goes. Hopefully there's a plug that I can unplug. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. Alright, there's the two connectors I was after. So let me get them undone, pulled out, and we get this harness out. Mouse nest, that's optional. That's an upgrade. Got the transmission harness out. This harness is just toast. Look at all the bare wires. I've got to pull every one of these apart so I can trace them out and replace them. And if I'm not careful, I'll break them, and then I'll be in a mess for sure. Here's the first half of the transmission harness, with the exception of right here, this plug. I got to try to find this plug, and then that'll let me finish soldering these three joints. But this hasn't been too bad. Here's the second half of the transmission harness. There's all the wires that come out of it. And these pressure switches, I couldn't find the connectors. Kubota couldn't even help me with that, so I just used these female crimp connectors on that. I used it on the solenoids too, and one other connector, but I think it'll be just fine. So I guess it's time to put the transmission harness back in. On the pressure switches, like I said, I can't find any connectors. So the only thing I know to do is this right here, and put some caulk down in there to sort of help keep those connectors in there, because the prongs are kind of skinny. I was afraid they would slip off eventually, so maybe that'll hold for a little while. Alright, all the harnesses are done and in. As you can see, I've got the transmission harness in wired up, but I don't have it tied up because I don't want to do that yet, because I may have to trace wires out. But anyway, I try to start it and it does nothing. So I looked in the service manual, electrical diagrams, and it has to go through a neutral switch, starter solenoid, the PTO switch, and then the ground before it'll start. Well, if I would have done this right here and dropped that steering wheel down, I would see that my PTO light is still on right there. Well, here's the PTO switch, and if you push it back all the way, it goes out. So I've got to figure out what's going on with this switch right here, and then I believe she's going to start. You can see this thing's got a lot of slop in it, so I'm going to bend this little arm on this switch back some more, and maybe that'll keep that switch made. Alright, I've got the PTO switch fixed, and she'll turn over. It won't start. I think my lift pump, I don't know if it's the lift pump or just got air in it. It's been sitting for 4 or 5 years. I got this line cracked right here going in the filter, and I'm getting nothing. So I'll get to figure that out next. It's just one thing after another with this thing. The primer pump on this lift pump is showing that I'm getting fuel through the system. And man, that diesel smells like wood stain or something. Ooh, it's rotten. So next thing is to crack the lines either here at the pump or up here at the injectors and see what I got going on. Just needed a little bleed is all. Alright, now that we got her running, I'm going to fire it up and see if we can get it in gear and make it move. Because that transmission is all electronically controlled. But I can't run it very long because it burned up heater hoses and I haven't replaced them yet, so it's low on coolant. But I can run it long enough to see if it'll move, so let's try it. Alright, we have no movement, so this is where it's going to get fun. As you can see, the heater hoses got burned up too. And they run from the water pump, across the motor, down, across, and up to the heater core. So I'm fixing to get to changing on them, I reckon. All that climbing up and down is rough on a fat boy. Heater hoses are ran, but I'm losing daylight. So I'm going to come back tomorrow and fill it up with antifreeze and water. And tonight I'm going to study on this wiring right here and see if I can figure out what's going on. At 11 o'clock at night looking through the service manual. This thing's got about 4 pages of self-diagnostics. And you can see in this chart right here, it'll tell you which solenoid is or is not working right, or at least powered up. So that may help me out a lot there. But then you go on down and it's got 6 or 8 pages of adjustment settings. But I don't think I'll have to fool with that because you don't do that unless you have replaced a solenoid or a switch or a valve or something like that. But just read that right there though. Adjustment by the adjustment. I don't think anybody American wrote this service manual. It's kind of hard to follow sometimes. Alright, let's get some antifreeze in there. Look who showed up again. Every day. What are you doing, girl? Say hello, everybody. This is why she comes over here every day. Daisy, come here. Daisy, come here. Come here. 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 Alright, that'll have to do on the antifreeze for now. The reason I had to do that is because the tractor has to be running to be in the diagnostic mode, and that diagnostic mode I think is going to take a while to get through it. So let's get up in the cab and start that process. Alright, we got it in self-diagnostic mode, as you can tell by that C right there. And then you have to come over here and hit plus or minus on this high-low range, and it walks you through several different diagnostics, so I guess I'll start that. Alright, we've got the first error. I don't know if you can see that dash blinking right there. It's supposed to be a C. This is checking the clutch pedal. It's got a sensor down there on it, and that should be a C. And then I push down on the pedal, it's supposed to beep. Well, if that dash blinking means the voltage is above a certain amount. So I've got to study on that, fix that problem, then we'll proceed from there. Alright. This is the transmission control. This, I think, is PTO and or lift control. Alright, I was checking for voltage on this pin going to the transmission control, and it wouldn't check voltage. We go into this ground pin, but it would to, you know, checking anywhere else. So I got to digging around and found this. That's ground wire been chewed in two by the mice that built this nest. So let's fix that, and then I'll check the clutch sensor again and see what happens. I got a lengthy update tonight. It's 11 o'clock Sunday night. Sunday's a day of rest, and I normally don't do anything, but when I get a job like this, I get obsessed about it. As you can see, I've pulled most of my hair out worrying about this thing, trying to figure out what's wrong with it. I have to know what's wrong with it. I'm sitting here looking at prints, as you can see, and trying to decide what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to have to do, but the last 2 days, for 5-6 hours each day, I have spent on that tractor troubleshooting this one circuit, this one sensor, and I have checked it every which way you can. Individual wires going to ground, power going back to the computer. What it is, this clutch pedal sensor is, it's on a what they call a 5-volt reference circuit, and any vehicle that is computer controlled has a 5-volt reference circuit, whether it's car, truck, four-wheelers, motorcycles, probably newer lawnmowers, and even tractors have this 5-volt reference circuit. What it is, you've got 3 wires on that sensor. One is 5 volts coming from the computer out to all the sensors in that circuit. And it normally will be one wire, and then it branches off to each circuit. Then you've got a ground, same thing, coming back from all circuits, all sensors, back to one point at the computer. Then the third wire is what they call a reference signal, and that is individual to each sensor, and it'll have its own input back to the computer. Well, all of that checks out. I've checked from sensor. There's only 2 sensors on this circuit: the throttle position and the clutch pedal sensor. And I've checked to and from them because this wiring harness was pretty shot. I thought, well, maybe I've gotten 2 wires crossed up or something. That all checks good. I've checked continuity from sensor to sensor, from sensor to back to the computer, on the power line, and on the ground line. But I'm getting, all that checks good. I'm getting 5 volts on each wire, and you shouldn't only have but one wire that has 5 volts. One is ground, and the signal, it will vary. What I have figured out is the ground wire, I'm getting continuity back to the computer, and that's where it stops. I don't get it through the computer to the chassis ground. Well, what the computer does is it generates this 5 volts, because you can't use the battery voltage 12 volts, because it varies, from, it may be from 11 volts up to 14 volts. The computer needs a steady voltage, so it generates its own 5 volts, and the ground is, for that 5 volt reference, is sort of isolated till it gets back to the computer. Then the computer itself grounds it to the chassis ground. Well, I think that part of the circuit is burned up. You got to remember, pretty much all the wires on the engine harness and the transmission harness will just be one big bundle of wires melted together, and everything's shorted out. It probably sent 12 volts through ground. It sent 12 volts up the 5 volt path, and just I'm surprised that the computer works at all. So that's probably what happened, is it burnt that one trace out of that computer. So today I took that computer off, took the cover off of it. I was hoping to see maybe a burnt trace on the circuit board. Well, you can't see the circuit board. This right here is what the computer looks like. It's encapsulated, and I can't get to any of the board. So what I'm going to try to do, well, let me show you on this print right here what I'm going to try to do. All right, hopefully you can see this. But this right here is that 5 volt reference circuit. This, let's see, I got to find it. This right here is the 5 volts coming out. That's the clutch pedal sensor. And as you can see, it comes down here and feeds to the throttle position sensor also. And then it comes down to a connector that just dead ends. This is what they call a check connector, check coupler, or something like that. Anyway, 5 volts comes in, and it comes out the ground. As you can see, there's several things tied to this ground, and then it comes back right here to the computer. And I'm getting continuity back to here on this ground, but from here to a chassis ground, like right here, I get nothing. Well, I get really high ohms, and it's probably back feeding through something else. Basically, this has been broken from here. So what I'm going to try to do is jump a wire from this ground here, going into the computer, straight to this chassis ground, and see if that'll let it operate like it's supposed to. If not, then we're going to have to buy at least a new power shift. See right here, they call it power shift. I'm going to have to buy at least a power shift computer, and that's $1,200. And the lift system also has its own computer, and that's another $1,200. So this little project could get expensive for this owner. I'm hoping this works, doing this jumper wire. I really don't think it will, because there's probably a lot of other things burned up in this computer. But tomorrow I'm going to give that a try, and I'll update y'all and let you know how it goes. My buddy's jumped up here with me. And also, by the way, over in that corner is basically an entire LT1 engine out of my 96 Trans Am. The block is sitting in the front room in there. And then that's crank rods, pistons, and pretty much the entire motor. So we can put that together in one video. And then that blue tub is a lot of parts for an old 283 that I bought back when I was 18, 30 years ago. And I don't know if I lost interest or what, but I never put it together. But and it'll be a mismatched, terrible motor. But I'm gonna put it together anyway, so that'll be another episode that we can do sometime. Well, here's the deal. I did my little jumper wire on the ground, and I got past the dash on the top. So now I've got a dash in the upper left, and I don't know what this means, because during the diagnostic thing, it doesn't say anything about this. But I have advanced, so let's keep going. Alright, been reading in the manual, and a couple of steps on further, you know, if you can see that right there. It says if a dash is in the upper left, the output voltage on the throttle sensor is below 0.2. Well, I know that the throttle position sensor is bad because I checked it the other day. So I think I'm going to go get one of those, or may have to order it online. And when I get that put in, let's see if that helps anything. You know it's getting serious when you have to print out a wiring diagram and tape it together. Alright, so I've been fiddling with this throttle position sensor because this sucker's $300. And I've got it to where it's working pretty smooth. Now I'm trying to set it. The book says pedal not pressed 4.5 volts. Pedal pressed 0.7 volts. Well, as you can see, I can slam it all the way down. 1.7 is the best it'll do. I don't know if that's something wrong with the switch, or if this throttle up here on the pump needs to be adjusted out, or what. So that's the next step to figure out what's going on. Okay, my ground wire, jumper wire thing seems to have fixed the clutch sensor problem. Now the throttle position sensor is erroring out. So I got to fiddle with it. I got it to reading voltage and ohms like it's supposed to. And it wants me to recalibrate it. So I do that and I go through its 10 different steps. Get to the last step and the computer's supposed to accept the new calibration. It errors out. Matter of fact, there's 8 things that you can recalibrate. It errors out on every one of them at the last step when the computer is supposed to take that new calibration. So I think the computer's bad. So I have ordered one because I'm tired of fooling with it. Well, let me show you this right here. That is the power shift control unit. It's got 3 plugs that go into it. There's the ground jumper wire I did right there. I have checked each and every one of these wires to make sure they're going where they're supposed to go. They are going where they're supposed to go. So that tells me that this computer is fried. Matter of fact, there's one setting that you can recalibrate that all it is telling you what version this tractor is. It won't even take that information, won't let you change it. So I'm convinced that this computer's bad. Alright, I just got done swapping the computer out, so let's see if she'll move. We're moving, folks. This is awesome. Make sure reverse works. Yes, sir, it does. Awesome. Now I got to tie up that mess, and then I got to put air conditioner hoses on it. And I think we may be done with it. Awesome. This is what I'm fighting with right now. This drain hose is in the way, trying to get this big air conditioner hose up here. I'll get it in a minute. This is what I'm fighting right here with these hoses. This is the original hose. That's the new hose. And the other one is the same way. Right there. The reason they're so much bigger, Kubota wanted it was going to cost $1,800 for all of the air conditioner hoses. And I was like, no, I'm not paying that. So I went to a local shop in town, and they made these hoses up for me for $250. That's why they're a different size, but I think I can get them in there eventually. Alright, I got the vacuum pump hooked up to the air conditioner system, pulling a vacuum on it. It ain't been running about a minute and it's already pulled down to 30 inches. A little vacuum pump. Got it hooked to the low side. It's been running about 15 or 20 minutes. I want to cut it off and let it set for 15 or 20 minutes. If I don't lose any vacuum, then I'm going to say it's good to go, and we'll go ahead and charge it up. Yeah, she's been sitting about 10 or 15 minutes, and as you can see, it has dropped. So I've got a leak somewhere. I'm gonna put some air on it, probably about 120 pounds, and use soap, see if I can find out where the leak is. Found the leak. It's on my hose I got connected to my gauge and to the compressor. That was leaking too, so I got a wire tie on it. I checked all the other fittings on the whole system. I didn't see any leaks. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a vacuum on it again, and then we're going to charge it up. Service manual calls for 2.43 pounds. So I'll need 3 full cans and then probably about a third of the other. And then I'm going to put an oil charge in it right there too. But this service manual, it's sad. It called for 143 in one place, and in the rest of the place it says 134. I have found so many errors in that manual. It's pitiful. I can't believe they let that get out to the public. Well, I have no idea. I have no idea what that is, but that, whatever that is right there, started smoking. I'll have to look in the book and see what that is. That looks like a, I don't know if that's a fusible link or just a jumper. But I got to look and see what that is. Boy, that'd be terrible. Get this thing all back together and then have it burn down again. Well, here's that connector that was on fire. This right here, that's a symbol for a diode. And I believe that's what's left of the diode. But I can't find it on the print yet. I don't know what it's for. I'm gonna go ahead and finish charging that air conditioner, and maybe tonight I'll search the prints and see if I can figure out what that's for. Alright, this is a schematic for the air conditioning system. And you can see it comes through the switch that turns the air on. It comes through a thermistor and a pressure switch. And there's the clutch for the air conditioner, air compressor. And then running parallel to it is this diode. And it runs to ground, and I don't know what it's for. I don't know why it's there, but that's what burned up. I'll have to get another one of them. I would like to know what the purpose of it. If anybody knows, put it in the comments. Alright, the air conditioner is charged up, but it's like 40 degrees right now. And it's hard to tell if it's really cool or not, so I'll have to wait till this summer and fine tune it if I need to. But I completely forgot about this right here. That is the 3-point lift computer. 3-point lift ain't working, so I gotta do a little troubleshooting on it. I'm pretty sure the computer is shot, but I want to do a little troubleshooting before I buy it because it's $1,200. So let's do that. So I had to buy a computer for a 3-point lift, and that fixed it. It operates now, but when I raise it, when the arms get to the top, it's like the pump is deadheading, the valve ain't shifting back to center open, and you can hear the motor start being drugged down. So let me show you that. I don't know if you can hear the motor being bogged down or not. It's probably a sensor on this 3-point lift, but I got to investigate a little further and see what it is for sure. All right, I believe I figured it out. In the book right here, fine adjustment is what it needed. Basically, this new computer needed to know where home was for the switches on the lift arms, plus all of these dials and this arm and whatnot. So basically I had to go in and tell it where home was, and it's working right now. Let me show you. So come up now, no deadhead, no pump, motor ain't being bogged down. So I believe that we have just about got this tractor whipped. I've got a couple more small things I've got to do. Might take an hour, and then I believe we're going to be done with this thing. I am finally done with this tractor. Let's do a little walk around. I'll show you everything I've done to it. Got a new brake reservoir because it got burned up. New heater hoses because they got burned up. Of course, my wiring harness is in this loom now. There's some of the wiring back off in there. Runs on down here. 4 fusible links right there because they got burned up. Throttle position sensor, it was not working at all. Got it to working. That saved about $300. A new reservoir tank, it was dry rotted, it busted. New air conditioner hoses right here because they got burned up. Of course, I had to recharge the system after that. New hydraulic hoses on the clutch pedal. Had to put new vent hoses on the tanks because they got burned up. 2 new computers right there. Got a new throttle cable. It's inside there. And the wiring harness on the transmission. So, now that I'm done with this thing, I believe it's about time to take it for a spin, see how it does. Finally done with this tractor. It was a pretty good job. There was quite a bit of stuff to do to it, but I finally got all of it done. It runs good now, shifts good. Hopefully the owner will be happy with it. I know I'm happy to be done with it. But anyway, appreciate y'all tuning into this video. If you don't mind, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, go do something.